Welcome, ladies and germs. This is a video of my top 5 favorite games of this year. Now I'm going to start off with number 5, Sleeping Dogs. I really enjoy Sleeping Dogs. Like, the first time I played it, I really enjoyed it. I've only played it, about one time overall, but for my experience that I've had with it was very pleasant. I felt that it took a lot of good things about open world action games, and did nothing wrong with it. It did. I wouldn't say it did anything a whole lot original, but the fact that they took the best parts of open world, action games, like being able to get from place to place without it being a pain in the ass, that was a plus in my book. I don't care who you are, if you think that's not a plus at all. But it had this nice, very very cool action, Hong Kong films vibe to it, and good voice acting, and just good characters overall that really got you interested in seeing what was going to happen next. And like I said, it did a lot of things right. Not a whole lot of things it did original, but what it did right was very fantastic. And incorporating the combat, the melee combat similar to Batman Arkham City was definitely a plus, and I think it's certainly a direction that some open world action games should take. Although it wasn't quite as polished as Arkham City's, but it was it was playable, decent enough to get through it, and it was fun to play. It was fun to do once you kind of figure it out. It was a little easy, not too difficult, but from beginning to the end, it was very very action packed and entertaining to play. Number 4, Max Payne 3. I absolutely enjoyed my time with Max Payne 3. It was definitely a delight to see a Max Payne game in this console generation. Overall, it was really fantastic. It had a really good gameplay. It was still, the same Max Payne gameplay, diving and, jumping around in slow motion while shooting guys in the head. It was just as satisfying as it was from the first game, and just Rockstar incorporating the Euphoria engine into that game, and just making things really look fantastic with the way Max falls and the way he just bump into things. And sometimes it would look really cool and neat, and other time it would be pretty hilarious the way his whole body contorts by hitting the wall. So it was for the most part really really well done. The story with Max Payne going to Brazil to be a security in security detail, and then things go wrong as in all Max Payne fashion, and he has to get back into the game again, shooting up dudes pretty much. And it's definitely a good game for this year. It was good to see Rockstar tackle a game that was pretty linear and didn't have a whole lot of open-endedness in terms of the level design. It was really well done and an interesting game to play from Rockstar, and just to show you how well he could put a game together and without even having it to be open world, which Max Payne didn't need to be open world. The series has been mainly linear with a very interesting story, and that did not fail for Max Payne 3. So I'm going to give it a number 4 spot on the list of my favorite games of 2012. Number 3, Mass Effect 3. Now this game was definitely a delight to play as well. It was certainly it had a couple of memorable moments in the game, which is so much going on. The world, the Earth especially, is at the brink of destruction, and it's up to you as Commander Shepard to rally up some troops, rally up the people from all races, all species, to fight against the Reapers in this final battle of Reapers against the entire galaxy, in order to survive and not be cleansed like the Protheans were many thousands of years ago. And so I'm going to put this in the number 3 spot here. Yeah, I felt that it did live up to a lot of my expectations in terms of gameplay and in some parts story. I felt that there were a lot of really interesting character moments, and even with the characters you've already have a already established relationship with, they were all just good to see again in the third game in the series, and definitely a very good game, regardless of what you may think or how the ending played out. It was, regardless of that, I will not disregard what the game accomplished in terms of its gameplay. It's just about, every little aspect was really good. Even though I felt that there were had little issues with some parts here and there that should have been polished up in terms of the side quest log and just these constant little quests that you get every now and then, and in order to recruit some war assets and things like that. And multiplayer was good. It was a pleasant surprise that there was decent enough multiplayer co-op, and kept the replayability value up high with that, and along with the free multiplayer DLC that had come along after that, in order to make up for the ending. It was definitely worth it. Nice playing that. That's also another nice feature to play Mass Effect 3 4. And like I said before, it just had a lot of good stuff going for it. And number 2, Hitman Absolution. Big surprise there, ladies and germs. You thought this would be number 1, but surprisingly, you were wrong at this one. Although Hitman Absolution was a fantastic game, really enjoyed the stealth aspects of the game, even though, regardless of the game it not being exactly like Blood Money, which in some way, shape, or form I will admit I kind of hope that was the case in some way, but you can't have a sequel after sequel and it being the same thing. Although Call of Duty's been that for the last couple of years, but who am I to say? But regardless of that, I really enjoyed the gameplay for not Blood Money. That was good too, but Absolution, regardless if it was structurally different than the Blood Money, Absolution is more story driven, and I'm probably maybe one of the few Hitman fans that wanted more story in terms of the Hitman series. I felt that it did all right with some of the story parts. It was interesting to play out. There was some memorable villains in that one, and just really well written dialogue, and from the just NPCs in general, where every level you go in is always spouting off on something. It's just really well written. I just want to stay hidden and just listen to that whole conversation. The disguise system is still there. I still feel that it needs a little bit more tweaking, but it's a lot of fun to dress up as different in different outfits in order to get through a level, in order just to even get as far as advancing to the next section of the level, and still has a good amount of traditional Hitman, where you're just placed into a crowd full of people, and you have either you're assigned to kill either 2 to 3 people depending on the level, and it's just definitely a variety of ways to go about it. And the contracts mode of the game definitely adds a lot of replayability value to that as well. You're able to mark up to 3 people, and it can be a good anyone in the level, except the NPCs. Not the crowd. I don't think you can mark the crowd, but you can definitely mark and execute some of the, especially in the Chinatown level, some of the cooks or some of the people that are in the level, like cops and things like that, and try to get the highest score and competing on who's the best assassin. And that is all well and dandy there. And David Bateson is still there as the voice of Agent 47, and I just really enjoyed it. It was a really good stealth game, regardless of it being structurally different in terms of gameplay. I think people that are not very familiar with the Hitman series will enjoy it a lot, as if they're looking for a very stealth-oriented game. That the game is, well, you don't really have to play as stealth, but there are definitely some moments where you think you should consider it, because it can be very challenging to kind of shoot your way through an entire level at times, because you're not really. This is not Call of Duty, so you're not gonna really get a lot of things done that way. But even little kills here and there with your gun is fine. Stealthing around. If you don't hear about your overall score, that's you can go to town on that, and definitely, like I said, a lot of replayability value in terms of being able to just go into the level. If you want to try and attempt to go, completely stealth and only kill your targets, then that's definitely an option. And if that's what you're looking for in terms of a stealth game, I think that does it a lot better than Dishonored as a stealth game in general, in my opinion. But I put in Hitman Absolution as number 2 on the list of my favorite games of 2012. All right, and number 1 on the list of my favorite games of 2012 is, drumroll, The Witcher 2 Enhanced Edition. Yes, and I still think that this counts, so don't get mad at me. This is my list, I don't care what you think. This is a nice port from the PC onto the 360 of The Witcher 2, which, it has some drastic differences from the original. Since it's an enhanced, it's going to add some things to it, and from what I've heard from PC players, it did make the game a whole lot better, and added some newer cutscenes in there, like that. I think the intro cinematic was there, and while it doesn't have the best tutorial in the world, I feel that the game is by far the best game I've played this year. I think it was fantastic on all ends, with the music, the voice acting, the story, and the gameplay. Well, although it can be a bit overwhelming at first, once you get used to it, you can really get a rhythm going for how you want to get things done in terms of gameplay. Hacking and slashing some dudes and doing a lot of rolling. That's what I did, especially on the dragon level. That required a hell of a lot of rolling around. So there's a lot of strategy to The Witcher 2, and it's not just one of those games where you kind of just hack and slash your way to things. It really requires a lot of strategy and a good amount of upgrades that you unlock as you progress through the game by doing things, main quests, side quests, and things like that. And it definitely has a mature story, which I really liked about The Witcher 2. A really dark fantasy story that had a lot of gray areas in terms of choices you've made that will dramatically alter the way the story plays out, mainly in the middle act of the game. You can either go one route or the other, and both of the routes are definitely drastically different from one another, with different missions and side quests and characters you meet along the way that all give you kind of a different perspective and a little different how things play out in terms of the interactions you have with each of the different characters you meet from one path to the other, and which I really liked. It added a lot of replay value to that, and like I said, a mature story. It doesn't treat you like a kid, or I'm not saying games treat you like a kid or anything, but it was very mature in the way that it handles the choices you make throughout the game, where it's all not really black and white. It's just very gray, and also it's not really a morality system to it, not really attached to that, which is good, because a lot of it just ends up boiling down to what will benefit me the most in terms of making choices, which, yes, I think that in some games you can take into account what you will get out of it, but at the same time, it's also about how you feel about it, and just whether you believe it's right or wrong, or not really what you believe right or wrong, but what you kind of one of those strategic thoughts, or thought-provoking moments you have where you're just thinking, what should I do? I mean, either side are not really that 100% in the right here, but if I had to just, I just had to choose personally what I would go with, and that's my choice. That's it. It's not as cookie cutter as other games are with decision making, where for the most part I'd say Fallout, for the main points there, Fallout 3 and New Vegas was mainly about what you ended up getting out of it in terms of making the choices. Wasn't really about what you thought was quote unquote you're right, kind of what would you choose in terms of choices you made in that game, where it just all it really mattered for Fallout was the rewards you got out of making those choices. And well, that's all well and dandy, I don't really mind it, but Witcher 2 does a hell of a lot better in terms of that. You still get some rewards with each choice you make, and no, I don't believe each one is better than the other. It's just kind of about what you wanna choose, and that's just that, you know, underlying little thing that should be implemented more often in games. That is pulls off a hell of a lot better than just having a morality system where this is good, this is bad. No, it's just a gray area on both sides. I mean, definitely I want to say, yeah, I guess the villains too are they all have their own agendas and motives for what they do, and you kind of, some you agree with, some you don't, and just one of those gray area things. That's what I like about some of the villains in the past Assassin's Creed games, because they had motives, they had reasons why they did it, why they believed they were doing something right. Whether you agree with it or not, it's just up to you. I have to give it the #1 spot of my favorite games of this year. So let me know what you guys think of of the list, and be sure to give me your top 5 games of the year that you believe are really well and dandy, that are worth checking out, and drop that in the comments section. And also, I want to give an honorable mentions to other games that didn't make it on the list, not because they were bad or anything. They're still fantastic games to check out. Yeah, that is Assassin's Creed 3. Assassin's Creed 3 was good. I did like playing Assassin's Creed 3 some parts, to be honest with you. I don't know, I think I just need a break from the series in general. It's just I think that anime stuff has got to go, because the 3 was just, I don't know what happened, but there are some parts that just doesn't feel very well polished and seem very rushed in terms of quality. And the ending seems like one of the ones as well, which is, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of like the year of not really great endings and living up to expectations. But regardless of that, it was still a pretty good game for what they've accomplished. Putting you into the world of the American Revolution. So yeah, that's Assassin's Creed 3. That's on my honorable mentions list. And WWE 13. While I did enjoy WWE 13, I liked replaying some of the Attitude Era moments. I just feel like that the game is pretty glitchy. While I haven't experienced a whole lot that were game breaking, in my opinion, there were just like really small glitches here and there that was they would pop up more than on a rare occasion at times, and it just kind of took me out of it sometimes. And like I said before, it wasn't game breaking. It's just very little glitches that just you don't see a whole lot in games. That I was just very puzzled at why they were just so apparent in this one. That, for example, you would choose a wrestler, and then when the match started, it would just be the default wrestler you would get when you create a character, and that was just not very acceptable in my opinion. It's just, and a lot of there's just other glitches which I won't go into. You can just look that up online with all the WWE 13 glitches. Not the most well polished games in terms of fixing the bugs, but the gameplay was fun. And final honorable mention there is Hotline Miami, a top-down drive inspired GTA looking game that has retro graphics and just a lot of things going for that one. It's more than just going in and killing dudes. It's very strategic, and that I really like that part of Hotline Miami. And it also has a very intriguing plot that can be interpreted in a variety of ways. I feel like, I think that it's been mentioned before. It's like Drive and direct. It's like Drive and like David Lynch, type of stuff. There was infused into that game. It's just weird and has this very interesting retro, and I will definitely say, if I made a separate list for best soundtracks, Hotline Miami is one of the best. Has one of the best soundtracks in years. It's definitely worth playing that game just for the soundtrack alone. And like I mentioned before, there's this whole intriguing little plot embedded into that game. After it's just you killing people, and also just this little interesting reveal at the end as well, which can be interpreted in so much variety of ways. So it definitely is worth checking out as well. Hotline Miami has an honorable mention there. So thanks everyone for watching. That's my honorable mentions for this year, and my top 5 favorite games of the year as well. So thanks for watching. I'm Splinter47, signing off.